After 9 seasons and 8 playoff appearances, Sean McDermott is out as the Buffalo Bills head coach, and Bills fans, I am shocked that Brandon Beane won the internal power struggle against Sean McDermott. Brandon Beane is surviving this. He is not going to be gone, but Sean McDermott, after 9 seasons, will no longer be the Buffalo Bills head coach. Welcome back to Smitty Talks Bills, and I'm your host Smitty, and I am absolutely stunned this morning. I woke up at 9:30, I checked my phone, and the first thing I see is sources tell me that Sean McDermott is gone as the Buffalo Bills head coach. This was a tweet I saw from Ari Marov breaking the Bills have fired Sean McDermott. Absolutely shocking. I fully thought if the Bills were going to fire someone, it would be Brandon Beane and not Sean McDermott. Bills fans, let me know if you thought the same way. I still personally feel like Brandon Beane should have been the one to go. I think this was Sean McDermott's best year as our coach. But, Brandon Beane won the internal power struggle. Now, the reason why I'm saying this internal power struggle is because Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane both reported to the owner, Tyler Pegula, separately. And when that happens, usually there's a bit of a disconnect between the head coach and GM. And that is exactly what happened. And I guarantee you that yesterday in meetings, McDermott and Brandon Beane were both fighting for their jobs and trying to blame the other one. And Brandon Beane won. And Sean McDermott, as a result, is gone. Now, do I think he should have been gone as head coach a couple years ago? Yes. And this is the exact reason why I'm pulling up this tweet from Ari Marov once again. The Buccaneers fired Tony Dungy when they couldn't get over the hump. They hired John Gruden and they won a Super Bowl. The Broncos fired John Fox when they couldn't get over the hump, hired Gary Kubiak and won a Super Bowl. The Bills firing Sean McDermott is exactly that. McDermott did so much in Buffalo. He made them a winner after decades of losing, but they now need a guy who can get them over the hump. And that's exactly how I felt for the past couple of seasons. I think Sean McDermott is a great coach. He helped us break the drought. I will forever love Sean McDermott, but the problem is, every single year in the playoffs, his defense just collapses. And after this last one against Terry Pegula, had enough and said, you know what, Sean McDermott, you did a great job for us, but it's time to move on. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. And I want to bring this up that last night, or yesterday afternoon, before the playoff game started, I tweeted out, if the Bills can guarantee bringing in Glenn Kubiak as head coach if they fire McDermott, they have to do it. Now, of course, just one day later, literally less than 24 hours later, this prophecy, one half of it has come true. Sean McDermott is gone. Clint Kubiak has still not been hired by a team as a head coach, and I fully believe that the Bills should be all over him. I think Clint Kubiak is probably one of the best hirings that we can make in this cycle. So yeah, Clint Kubiak, definitely want the Bills to be going after him. Let's see what else I have bookmarked. Yeah, Brandon Beane is safe and will lead the head coach search. And check out the comments really quick. Yeah, this is exactly what what blackmail does he have on Terrence Pegula? That is hilarious. Yeah, I feel like a lot of Bills fans kind of wanted Brandon Beane to be the one to go because, I mean, the fact of the matter is the roster this year was not good enough to win a Super Bowl. And he has been the GM for 9 years and has never once been good enough to win a Super Bowl, which is ridiculous that he survived this firing of Sean McDermott. But so whatever. But now RG3, he chimed in. He said, with Sean McDermott now fired, the Buffalo Bills head coaching job is by far the best one in this coaching cycle. Josh Allen is your QB, and you get a new football stadium. I mean, yeah, that is just a fact of the matter. The Bills head coaching job is probably the best one that's available right now. You could argue maybe the Ravens because they have Lamar Jackson at QB. But other than that, the Bills have the best head coaching job in the NFL. Josh Allen in the middle of his prime. You have James Cook. You have a new football stadium on the way. I mean, I think this is probably the most desirable job. Now, I did see one person throw out the idea of maybe trading some draft picks and going all in and getting a Sean McVay or a Kyle Shanahan. And let me tell you something. I don't think the Bills will do it. I don't think that the Rams or 49ers would ever trade their head coaches. But if it could be done, I think maybe Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan would be not opposed to having Josh Allen as a new QB. Especially Sean McVay, because he's a Rams head coach. He's been there for years. He's won a Super Bowl there with Matthew Stafford. But Matthew Stafford, he's kind of teetering on the brink of retirement. Josh Allen is a QB who's just turning 30. He still has years ahead of him. Could Sean McVay be on his way to Buffalo? I don't know until we see an official rumor out there. I won't further push that agenda, but that is something to think about. That head coaches may want to leave their teams to come to Buffalo. But then, yeah, this guy, Aaron Torres, he kind of hit us with a reality check because I think Bills fans are there like, no, we want Brandon Beane gone. But this is the reality of Sean McDermott's tenure in Buffalo. The last 5 playoffs, 2022, blew a fourth quarter lead at Kansas City. 2023, blown out by Cincinnati at home. 2024, blew a fourth quarter lead versus Kansas City. 2025, blew a fourth quarter lead versus Kansas City. In 2026, blew a fourth quarter lead at Denver. How many more years of Josh Allen's prime will Buffalo let Sean McDermott waste? This was actually tweeted out yesterday before Sean McDermott was fired, and it's true. I mean, Sean McDermott, great guy, great coach, but he had to be gone. And then Dan Mitchell, absolutely love this guy. Make sure to check out his content. Bills head coach candidate preference list for him: number 1, Brian Flores; number 2, Cliff Kingsbury; number 3, Clint Kubiak. I mean, yeah, these are 3 guys who I absolutely love. I love Brian Flores. I love Clint Kubiak. Cliff Kingsbury, I'm a little bit lower on, but I really like this idea of Brian Flores or Clint Kubiak. I have 2 other options that we will be going over later in this video. Let's see what else I have bookmarked. I guess nothing. Yeah, that's just Sean McDermott's tenure in Buffalo. But now I'm going to break down, or not really fully break down, because I haven't been able to really fully research these head coach candidates. I only have 4 of them for this video. Let's get straight into this first guy that I have. That's going to be Brian Flores. Now, this is a guy who, obviously, Dan Mitchell had on his list. And this is a guy who I've been, cautiously looking out for if the Bills were to make this move for Sean McDermott. He has been the head coach of the Miami Dolphins in the past, 2019 through 2021. Did not have a ton of success there. 24 and 25. He was fired for probably not the right reasons. I believe that he should still be the Miami Dolphins head coach. But after that, he went to Minnesota to become their defensive coordinator. And he's been one of the best defensive coordinators in the league ever since. This year especially, even with the Vikings being a bad team, 3rd best defense in terms of yards, 7th best in terms of points. I mean, Brian Flores, he will lead a great defense. Now, I understand maybe the pushback from Bills fans for wanting another defensive-minded head coach and wanting a bright offensive mind. I fully understand that. And Brian Flores, one of my favorite parts about Pro Football Reference, you can see who they've worked for when they were, in their positions. He's worked for Bill Belichick for a whole bunch of roles. You see, I'm not even going to go over all those. But he's also worked for Kevin O'Connell and Mike Tomlin. So I think that working for Kevin O'Connell, who I believe is one of the best offensive minds in the league, he probably knows his stuff, with offense. And also working for Mike Tomlin, that is a crazy big 3 of coaches that he's worked for. So he has a ton of good knowledge, I think, from those 3 guys. And I think that, he would be a good head coach for the Bills. I understand if you don't want a defensive head coach, then, you're not going to want Brian Flores, but I think he's a good option. But now going to our second option, that's going to be Clint Kubiak. This is my number 1 option. This is the guy who I want the Buffalo Bills to hire, without a doubt. You guys see, he's only been on 3 NFL teams: Minnesota Vikings in 2021, I believe that's the Rams in 2024, and then Seattle in 2025. Seattle has had probably the best offense in the NFL this year. Sam Darnold at quarterback, so could you imagine what he could do with Josh Allen? Also, James Cook at running back compared to Kenneth Walker. I know Kenneth Walker is absolutely fantastic, but then we just need to get this guy wide receiver, and, this offense will be set with Clint Kubiak as our head coach. You see where he's worked over the course of his career. Obviously, he's worked for, and that's what I found funny. So he's worked for Dennis Allen, but he's also worked for Leslie Frazier, which I found pretty funny. Then he's also worked for Nathaniel Hackett, Vance Joseph, and obviously Gary Kubiak. I believe that's his father. I could be wrong. Mike McDonald, who's the Seahawks head coach right now, and he's a part of that Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, which I absolutely love. And then also Mike Zimmer, but him being a part of that Shanahan coaching tree, and he's also a Kubiak. I love this guy. I would really love for Clint Kubiak to be our head coach, and he's honestly very easily my number 1 option so far. But now getting to this next guy, and there have been some rumors swirling already about maybe the Bills being interested in bringing this guy in. That's going to be Brian Daboll. Now, Bills fans, I understand if you don't want to bring him in, but I also understand if you're immediately in love with him. I think Bills fans will be 50-50 on this. Brian Daboll was a fantastic offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills when he was here. Yes, that is just a fact. And because of that fact, he got hired as a New York Giants head coach. The problem is he was an atrocious head coach for the New York Giants. His best season coming in 2022 when they went 9-7-1. I don't think I love Brian Daboll as a head coach. As an offensive coordinator, he was fantastic for us. And even he had, his faults sometimes, but I feel like everyone does. But Brian Daboll, as much as I love him, he was a great coach for us. As a head coach, I don't love it. He did not have success with the Giants. Now, obviously, you're going to check his worked for Bill Belichick, Romeo Crennel, Eric Mangini, Sean McDermott, and Tony Sparano. Yeah, it was weird with Brian Dable. We'll check out his stats in Buffalo right here as our offensive coordinator. Let's see if I can pull this up. So with his time with Buffalo, our offense, the first 2 years, 2018, 2019, young Josh Allen, it was not great. But in 2020, 2021, he made Josh Allen look absolutely phenomenal. And I believe it's probably the same offense, just that Josh Allen's development kind of took him to a different level. So Brian Dable, could he be an option? Yes. Has his name already been thrown into that, whispers of the Bills' new head coach? Yes, he has. For Bills fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Me personally, I'm a little bit hesitant to want him just because of how he performed with the Giants as their head coach, but that's a whole different situation. They're a way worse team, so maybe he would have better success in Buffalo. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as for my last option, and I might get hate for this. I might get trolled in the comments. I might be told never make a video again. Mike McDaniel. I understand his time in Miami was not fantastic. I understand he's kind of a little bit of a nerd. I understand he can't really speak well. But what this man can do is he can run an offense. This man can run an offense, and I believe if he was able to run an offense with Josh Allen and James Cook, and hopefully Brandon Beane can get us a receiver, also Dalton Kincaid at tight end, I think our offense would be absolutely electric and near the top in the league. You see, in San Francisco, their offense was one of the best in the NFL. Miami, 2022 and 2023, they had one of the best offenses in the NFL. Now, 2024, 2025, they were not great. Was that because of the play calling, or was it because of Tua's crazy regression after all of his concussions? We don't know. But I am personally a big fan of Mike McDaniel. I think he can run an offense with the best of them. He's also worked for Gary Kubiak, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, Dan Quinn, and Mike Patine. I love Mike McDaniel. I'm sorry. This is a guy who, Bills fans, I don't know. You're probably not going to love it. You're probably not going to be super excited if the Bills hire him. But me personally, I think he's an offensive mastermind. And I think that the Bills would benefit greatly from him becoming our new head coach. But Bills fans, I'm sorry. This video is over. But the Buffalo Bills just dropped their announcement of the Sean McDermott firing. And I am outraged. I just want you guys to focus on this bottom section right here. And I quote, "Moving forward, Brandon Beane will now serve as the president of football operations / general manager of the Buffalo Bills. Brandon will oversee all facets of our football operation, including the oversight of our coaching staff. I have full faith in and have witnessed Brandon's outstanding leadership style and have confidence in his abilities to lead our organization." So not only did Brandon Beane survive this firing where we all thought he should be gone, he got promoted to the president of football operations for the Buffalo Bills. He's now overseeing the entire coaching staff. Now, unless Sean McDermott had a lot more say in the roster construction than we believe to know, this is just unreal that Brandon Beane not only survived, but is now promoted to a higher position in the Bills organization. Terry Pagula, you might be out of your mind. I'm not sure. This just made everything 10 times worse in my opinion. So Bills fans, I'm ending you off on this note. I don't even have full thoughts on this. I'm kind of outraged right now. So Bills fans, not only was Sean McDermott the one that was fired, Brandon Beane stays and is promoted to president of football operations. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.